January 3, 1979 was pretty cold in Snohomish County, Washington. A duck shooter left his house to start his day by trying to catch some good game. He was looking forward to getting a lot of ducks and fish when he noticed something odd. The net caught something on the mud flats near the shore. He went over to see what was going on because he was interested. As he looked around, he began to feel scared. It was not what he had expected. He had found the bones of someone. Who were those bones? What happened to that person? Was it an accident or something worse? Hi and welcome back to our channel. If you are new here, please consider subscribing, as it helps us motivate to create more intriguing content for you. Let's have a look at Gary Lee Haynie's case, a 44-year-old cold case that was finally solved in 2023. Snohomish County is a place where people do not walk by each other without saying hello, where the community is full to the brim with friends, and where the country's rich history and culture are woven into every building. Even though Snohomish County is the third most populated county in Washington, it feels like a small town and has a pretty low crime rate. The beautiful scenery, farms, and happy faces of the people who live there show how beautiful it is. When a place is nice, simple, and full of possibilities, like a place where bones have been found, it is hard to think that a puzzle would start here that would take decades to solve. In 1979, the residents of Snohomish County had a challenging time due to extremely cold temperatures and heavy snowfall. January 3, 1979, stood out from the rest as a significant day. When the sun rose that morning, bringing above freezing temperatures, people finally felt relieved and safe enough to venture outside after a week of being confined to their homes. Meanwhile, a duck shooter had his usual goal in mind, to catch and sell a large number of wild ducks for a considerable profit. He positioned himself at the mouth of the Snohomish River where two sloughs meet Puget Sound, located on North Spencer Island's western end. While searching for ducks, he stumbled upon something peculiar. At first, his thoughts revolved around finding more ducks, but upon closer inspection, he realized that what he had discovered were human bones. The sighting prompted him to immediately contact the police. When the authorities arrived at the scene near Everett, Washington, they were chilled by the grim reality of the bird hunter's story. 10 pairs of pants, a single leather shoe, and a fragment of a human leg bone were ensnared in a fishing line. However, the unsettling discoveries did not end there. Following the bird hunter's guidance, the police found a red, orange, white, and gray checkered shirt just 5 feet away from a human head. They also found ribs and a shoe containing a foot. The sight was both horrifying and distressing. Upon returning to the scene for further investigation, the police made another finding of a leather wallet that had managed to stay dry in the salty water. However, its contents were missing, which could have provided valuable clues. The wallet had no cash, driver's license, or fishing ticket. The same place also had a SOG and a 33-34 size belt. As the police examined the evidence, they discovered shoes with laces and the numbers 30 and 38 on them. The rubber tips of the shoes had the name O'Sullivan written on them. The green pants had a tag indicating they were made in the United States and did require cleaning. Though seemingly insignificant, these details could be crucial in identifying the man. The case appeared complex, but there was no immediate indication of foul play. The condition of the unidentified man's remains made it difficult to determine the cause of death. The investigation posed challenges due to the extended period since his demise, making it harder to find straightforward answers. The body parts were handed over to a doctor to extract as much information as possible. The doctor revealed that the body parts belonged to a man who had been deceased for several months. While it didn't simplify the task of identifying the man, it was a starting point. The coroner's office made every effort to determine the man's identity. They suggested focusing on his teeth and examining his body for potential clues. However, the passage of time had severely deteriorated the records, making them difficult to utilize. Despite their best efforts, the police were unable to identify the man in 1979. Consequently, the unidentified man became a John Doe case, assigning him the name John Doe 791. The cause of death remained elusive due to the limited evidence available. Identifying the 1979 John Doe seemed almost impossible. Finally, on March 15, 1979, after a 2.5-month wait, the unknown man was laid to rest in a respectable grave at Everett's Cypress Memorial Park. The bone fragments were stored at the medical examiner's office until they could be claimed by a family member or identified. However, the story didn't end there. The investigation had a long way to go. The community, including the police, continued searching for clues about John Doe's identity. Unfortunately, none of the leads proved fruitful, leading investigators to eventually give up, considering the case closed. Over the years, most of the evidence had disappeared. But then, a turning point occurred when modern science and law enforcement tools converged, opening up new possibilities for justice. Technologies and learning methods that were challenging to employ in the past were no longer obstacles. In 2008, Jim Scharf, a sheriff's office officer, and Ken Cossert, a former Superior Court judge, reviewed old files that had been lying around for decades. This led to the resurgence of the 1979 John Doe case. However, when they finally had an answer in 1979, the police felt frustrated because they couldn't ascertain if the initial investigation had matched the unknown man's description with any missing individuals from that time. They wondered how many leads had been pursued and how many had been discarded. It was a wake-up call, highlighting the loss of valuable materials before they could be utilized for further investigations. Nonetheless, the police remained determined and began a more serious inquiry in 2008. They delved into old records, hoping to find something that could help identify the deceased man. Even in 2015, 36 years after the man was found in the mud flats, investigators were still striving to uncover his identity. Due to the prevalence of John and Jane Doe cases, the Snohomish County Police assigned a new name to John Doe 1979, calling him Spencer Island John Doe. In July 2015, the police requested permission from the Snohomish County judge to exhume the body of John Doe on Spencer Island. They transported the body to the medical examiner's office, where Dr. Kyle Tanaka hoped that uploading the man's dental records to national databases would help identify him. However, this approach proved unsuccessful. The case was subsequently added to NAMI's list of missing persons in August 2015, but no significant progress was made. The authorities examined John Doe's clothing, wallet, and belt, which had been recovered earlier, but these provided no substantial leads. The Snohomish County Sheriffs appealed to the public for any information about the unidentified man, but despite their efforts, the investigation seemed to be at a standstill. In late 2015, a breakthrough came when the police received an unexpected tip suggesting that Spencer Allen John Doe resembled a farmhand who had gone missing in Marysville. Intrigued by this lead, the officers decided to investigate further. The man in question was known to be a heavy drinker and had a noticeable limp. According to witnesses, he had disappeared in the late 1970s. The police pursued this lead diligently, working as undercover agents for a month. Unfortunately, their hopes were dashed when they discovered a tombstone in Yuma, Arizona, through billiongraves.com. The tombstone belonged to the same farmhand whose tip they had received, indicating that he had died in 1981 in the desert region of the southwestern United States, where he had been heading. This loss left the police with a sense of frustration, as they felt the case was going nowhere. Meanwhile, during the investigation at the crime scene, the medical examiner's office made another significant discovery. Dr. Kathy Taylor, a forensic scientist at the King County Medical Examiner's Office in Washington State, examined John Doe's bones in April 2016. Based on her expertise and observations, she estimated that the man's age could have ranged from 27 to 61 years. Additionally, she approximated his height to be between 5 feet 1 inch and 5 feet 7 inches. In her report, Dr. Taylor indicated that John Doe could be of Native American, Caucasian, or mixed ancestry. Consequently, when individuals from the Chalaip and Siligamus tribes were reported missing, the police gave these cases extra attention and circulated relevant reports. Further examination of the bones revealed a lack of perimortem trauma, indicating no recent injuries before or after death. However, a horrific finding emerged: the left thigh bone was severely broken and beyond repair. This injury would have caused significant pain and difficulty in walking. The reports also suggested that John Doe might have suffered from temporomandibular joint disease, as evidenced by the condition of his jaw bones. The temporomandibular joint syndrome is a painful condition affecting the jaw. It appeared that his broken leg had never received medical attention, leaving him in chronic pain for an extended period. X-rays revealed a prominent protrusion in the middle third of the bone, exacerbating his discomfort. The circumstances surrounding his lack of medical assistance remained unclear. Jane Jorgensen, a detective at the medical examiner's office, was unable to provide answers, leaving the police puzzled. Even if John Doe had been financially disadvantaged, one would expect him to seek immediate medical care. The fact that he endured such prolonged pain without seeking help raised perplexing questions. Moreover, his left leg was 2 inches shorter due to the injury. This information about John Doe's leg became another puzzle piece in the investigation. As the investigation continued, more shocking details emerged. When John Doe's body was exhumed, it was discovered that he had 2 missing upper left front teeth and 2 missing back teeth. The holes in his jaw had healed, indicating that he had lost these teeth before his death. It was noted that he had a gap in his teeth and metal fillings in 3 of them, suggesting that he had access to dental care at some point. This raised questions about why he did not seek urgent medical care for his leg if he had the means to address his dental issues. The detectives were puzzled by his apparent lack of medical attention and the reasons behind it. The detectives speculated that John Doe might have received dental care when he was a child or teenager living with his parents, but may have neglected seeking medical attention as he grew older. They were unsure why he endured the pain and lack of care in his later years. It was discovered that prisoners could receive free dental care, leading to the possibility that John Doe had been incarcerated in the past. However, this theory seemed unclear and unlikely, as someone would likely remember him due to his distinctive features, such as his limp and dental issues. The case was based on various theories, and the police understood that even the smallest details could be the key to unraveling the truth. Detectives Jane Jorgensen and Jim Sharp consulted with retired Judge Kenneth Cossert and former parole supervisor Chuck Wright to explore possible answers. The investigation became increasingly challenging as determining the cause of death based on John Doe's physical appearance proved difficult. Several ideas were considered, including the possibility that he was unable to see a doctor when he was injured, but this seemed more like a desperate guess than a plausible explanation. One theory that emerged was that John Doe was a fisherman, which could explain his injuries and his reluctance to seek medical help. It was also speculated that he may have died on a boat and washed up on the beach by accident, with fellow sailors burying him at sea. Over time, his body could have drifted downstream to the meeting point of Steamboat and Union Sloughs and ended up in the tide flats west of the railroad bridge on State Road 529. The Snohomish County sheriffs considered the possibility that he fell overboard and drowned accidentally. The police exhaustively pursued every lead and interviewed numerous potential witnesses in the vicinity of where the body was found in the mud. Despite hitting dead ends, they remained determined not to give up. In a final attempt to gather more information, they employed forensic art. In April 2016, forensic artist Natalie Murray reconstructed John Doe's face by attaching rubber pegs to his skull and painstakingly reconstructing his features. Natalie observed that his lips were flat and his nose was small, resembling those of individuals with Asian roots. However, the deterioration of the bones over time made it challenging to establish these features conclusively. Despite limited information, Natalie used John Doe's lower jaw and her knowledge to create a composite drawing that she hoped would aid in solving the case. Forensic scientist Dr. Kathy Taylor reviewed the sketch and agreed that it resembled someone of mixed Native American and Caucasian heritage, providing a valuable lead. In 2018, a piece of John Doe's right leg was sent to the University of North Texas for DNA analysis. The FBI utilized the DNA sample to update its CODIS database, resulting in the creation of mtDNA and SDR profiles by March 2019. In the 1970s, a former police officer reported seeing a man with a noticeable limp who resembled the composite sketch. In 2021, another part of John Doe's leg was sent to Othram Labs, a private company in Texas. With the assistance of death investigator Adam Wilcoxon, the police inched closer to identifying John Doe. After approximately 3 hours of diligent work, they identified him as Gary Lee Haynie. By examining his family tree, they contacted his half-sister, whose DNA matched that of Gary's real half-brothers. On February 10, 2014, after 44 years, Dr. Matt Lacey, the Snohomish County medical examiner, confirmed that Spencer Island John Doe was indeed Gary Lee Haynie. Gary's parents, Bernice Helen and Joseph Dominique Contamiti, had a son on September 23, 1950, in Topeka, Kansas. However, Gary's parents separated a few months after his birth, resulting in significant changes in his life. In approximately 1955, Gary's mother married a soldier named Sheldon Lee Haynie, who became his stepfather. Sheldon gave him the name Gary Lee Haynie. Hal Thaney, Gary's step-cousin, now 71 years old, mentioned that there was something notable about Gary's brain that drew attention. Sheldon, Gary's stepfather, left the military and worked for Boeing in the Air Force, which necessitated frequent relocations from New York to Kansas. Due to the long distances, Gary couldn't celebrate holidays with the rest of the family. Gary gradually stopped appearing in family photographs as he grew older. When Gary was 16 years old, his father passed away at the Missouri Veterans Hospital. Gary himself died on December 24, 1976, just one day before Christmas. Social Security records indicate that he lived in some form of rooming house. Although Gary's family had limited contact with him, they were saddened by his sudden death. Hal, Gary's step-cousin, had only met Gary twice in his life due to the frequent relocations. However, Hal had been diligently compiling the family history on an ancestry website, allowing him to gather information about Gary's life as a child and an adult that he could share. Gary's life had always been shrouded in secrecy. In fact, he was officially declared dead in 1976, 3 years prior to his discovery on Spencer Island. According to the autopsy report, he had been dead for months, leaving a 3-year period unaccounted for, during which nobody knew his whereabouts or the circumstances of his death. Hal speculated that something might have happened within the family, leading to Gary being kicked out or left alone. Hal believed that Gary's death might have resulted from a fall, a head injury from hitting a rock, or a medical issue. The police now suspect that Gary resided with his stepfather in Everett, as Sheldon lived there from the 1970s until 1990. Sheldon was referred to as a snowbird due to his habit of spending winters in Mexico's Baja California. In the mid-1980s, Sheldon drove to Texas to visit his nephew Thane, but they never discussed Gary. Hal informed investigators that they had never talked about Gary. Before Sheldon's death in 1997, he resided in Oregon. Sheldon's failure to inform anyone about Gary's disappearance raised additional questions and possibilities. Why wouldn't someone report their son missing? Gary's absence remained unexplained. The investigation uncovered a web of long-held lies and secrets, revealing that Gary's life had been fraught with loss, sadness, and difficult times. Although they had limited communication, Hal's friends in Arizona helped him publish a quarterly magazine. Hal felt compelled to do something for Gary's grave, despite the fear associated with visiting it. After 44 years of anonymity, no family, and loneliness. Hal hoped that visiting Gary's grave would bring him peace. Gary Lee Haynie remained an enigma even after 40 years, just as he was when his body was discovered in 1979, or when he was a young boy and his family knew nothing about him. Gary's identification as John Doe opened Pandora's box, leading to numerous new questions and plunging investigators into a confusing and uncertain rabbit hole. Although they learned more about his past, they knew little about his final days. As the news of Gary's identity spread, there was a growing sense of hope that someone out there might hold the missing puzzle piece, that vital information capable of unraveling the mystery of his disappearance and tragic death. Let us know your thoughts in the comments section. How do you imagine Gary Lee Haynie's life turned out? And what do you believe caused the likely fracture in his leg? Like, write, and follow if you'd like to see more. Until next time, stay safe, and thanks for reading.